if you're buying a new house, it takes about 4 to 6 months to go from offer being accepted all the way to you getting your new keys. So if you're looking to buy a new home, do give it 4 to 6 months for the entire process. And I would say that is if everybody is firing on all cylinders, if there's no chain, meaning the person that is selling the property isn't also trying to buy another property, because that can complicate things. So 4 to 6 months for a purchase. So if you're remortgaging, that means you currently have a mortgage and you are now going to another lender. So you may have a mortgage with, let's just say, HSBC, and your fixed term has come to an end, and you have looked around and you've seen that another lender has a better rate. You should always go to your broker with the deal that your current lender has offered. It is going to be a lot quicker and a lot easier sticking with your current lender, because new valuations won't need to be done. In many cases, you don't need to provide any additional documentation. You just need to accept the offer that maybe they've sent out to you. So in most cases, what you'll find is probably 3 months before that deal comes to an end, your current lender will send you a letter saying your deal is coming to an end. This is what we can offer you. All you have to do is let us know that you want to take us up on this offer. But you should take that offer to your mortgage broker, that your mortgage broker can search and see if that's the best thing available to you. Understanding that when you remortgage, there's a lot of things that you can change. You can change the remaining term. You can change lots of different things within that deal. So get your letter from your existing lender, take it to your broker. That way they have something to compare it to. So I did speak about product transfers. So product transfers take about 1 to 2 weeks. That is when you stay with your existing lender and maybe just go to a different product. So if you're doing a new purchase, that's going to take 4 to 6 weeks. If you're doing a remortgage, it takes 7 to 10 weeks. So that means you're taking your current mortgage to another lender. So new valuation is going to need to be done. You're going to need to provide all of the things that you provided when you took out your first mortgage. If you stay with your current lender, which is a product transfer, that's going to take 1 to 2 weeks. So the first thing that I'm going to do with you is I'm going to do an initial assessment. This only takes about 15 minutes because despite what people might make you believe, it's not rocket science. It's not a dark art. It's simple math. It comes down to 3 things that I call SID: credit, income, and deposit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a few simple questions in order to be able to understand what you're trying to accomplish and where you are currently. Because if I'm not going to be able to help you, I need to know that quickly, that I don't waste your time or my time. So the first thing I'll ask you is, do you have a house price in mind? And this is super important that you have a figure in mind, because we don't want to go after a number and then you go and look and you find out that you and your family cannot get a house that you'd want to live in at that price. So I'll ask you what price range you're looking in. Remember, people always buy at the top of their price range. So if you tell me 450 to 500, I'm going after 500 because I don't want to go after 450 and then you come back and say, I couldn't find a house for 450. The next thing that I need to know is do you have any credit issues, late payments, missed payments? I'm not worried about your credit score. I'm really more looking at your credit profile, how you pay your bills, which does relate somewhat to your credit score, but it's really more about understanding if you have missed payments, late payments, CCJs or defaults within the last 6, 12, 24 months. I'll also need to know your salary, and everything that I'm saying is for both parties. If it's a joint application, if there are multiple people on the application, everything that I need to know will be for each person. And then I need to know how much you have for a deposit. Not a fictitious number, not a percentage. I need to know the exact pound amount because you will need to provide proof of deposit with a bank statement. So make sure you're giving me a figure that is something that you can prove. The first part of the process, once we get that information, will be the review of a mortgage illustration. So I'll take the figures that you've given me, I will crunch the numbers, I will find a deal that fits what you're trying to do. And if I'm honest, the first part of the process is where things usually go astray. Because if the client's not being open, honest, and exact with me, then everything else is going to be off. So if you say you're going after a house that's 450 and you're really going after a house that's 700,000, everything else is going to fall over. If you say your monthly budget, when I ask you, your monthly budget for repayments is £2,000 a month, then it's actually £800 a month, we're going to have problems. So be open, honest, straightforward with your broker. In this case, hopefully, it's me. So many brokers do not do a full mortgage illustration prior to getting paid. Now, at our firm, we do that because most people have never even seen a mortgage illustration, even people that have mortgages, because a lot of brokers don't do it. But I think it's important for you to understand every single component of that mortgage illustration, interest rate, payments, what is non-refundable, how the payments are applied. Now, in the first instance, this is just an illustration. It may not be the product that you end up with, but it will give us a feel for if we're on the right track. If you've said you wanted a 2-year fixed, if you've said you wanted a variable rate, we will go through all of that. And this is the time for you to revisit that, change it, and ask questions. So that's the first step.